I'm Dan from Peerless Props, and today we're gonna
destroy for the sake of destruction!
build this Warhammer 40k World Eaters inspired Chainaxe. I modelled this in Fusion 360 based on a reference image. This was fairly easy to model as the axe is mostly made up of simple, blocky shapes. If you wanted to print your own, I have all of the files for this available on my Thingiverse, which will be linked in the description. After the 3D model was done, I sent it off to the printer. If you have a large printer, I'm currently running an Elegoo Neptune 3 Max, this can all be printed in one print. It took about 36 hours and used about 500 grams of filament. Next comes the least fun part of making anything 3D printed, sanding it. This maybe took longer than printing, which is a bit sad. After it was all sanded, I hit it with a thick coat of filler primer to try and fill in some of the small little imperfections that I may have missed whilst priming, and then it's ready for paint. I wanted to go for a classic World Eater style colour scheme on this one, so I went for red and gold, and added in a bit of black and silver as details. I laid down a base coat of red over the entire thing and then masked off all the bits that would stay red and painted the gold on top. Lastly, the silver and black details were hand painted in. Once the base colours were laid down is the best part of painting, demasking. This bit is glued together permanently, but this whole section will be removable from the handle to make it easier to store and transport. For that I'm going to use a pin with some magnets. For the weathering, I laid down a watery coat of candy black all over the piece, and then rubbed off most of it so that it was only left in all of the deep crevices and stuff where dirt would naturally accumulate. And next, the part that Khorne's been waiting for.
Blood for the blood god!
This was done by loading up a brush with paint and then using my airbrush on a high pressure to spray the paint over the piece. This created a splatter effect as if the blood had actually hit it naturally. Here is a quick before and after of the weathering process. With this, the painting and weathering was done, and all that's left was the handle. The handle is a 28mm piece of dowel, wrapped in a cotton hand wrap. This was also weathered to make it look nice and dirty. And with that, it was done. In the end, I'm really happy with how this one came out. This is available on my Etsy shop, both as a finished piece and a raw print kit. Also, if you have a 3D printer and wanted to build your own, the files will be available on my Thingiverse. To print all of the files in one piece, you will need a larger 3D printer, something with at least a 300mm square build volume. If not, I've cut the bigger parts into pieces for smaller printers. I also really wanted this build to break apart for easier transport, so the axe head comes off like this. When assembled, it is held together with this pin, which has holes for a 3mm by 4mm magnet. The handle is the only part that's not 3D printed, as I wasn't sure how strong it would be if it was 3D printed, so I used a 28mm dowel, or you could just 3D print a 28mm cylinder. The files have tolerance designed in, so they should all fit together straight off the print bed, but that will depend on the tolerance of your printer. If you've made it this far, thanks a lot for watching, and if you liked it, check out some of my other builds here on YouTube or on my Instagram.